guys. I'm your host, Jawan the Don, and this is the Wrestling Matters Podcast, Episode 4. All right, thanks for joining back, guys. Today we'll be discussing the Spartan Combat RTC 1, the return of Big Ten Wrestling today, and then we also have to go over Jordan Burroughs versus David Taylor. That actual match is being rescheduled for the 13th. And we'll also go over some UFC news, including Aljimain Sterling versus Peter Yan being set for March 6th, UFC 259. All right, guys, and with no further avail, let's get right into it. Tonight, or for some of you, January 8th, the Spartan Combat RTC is hosting an event. We'll get to see world champ Kyle Dake, who missed the RTC Cup. Dake on his way down to 74 kilograms. I'm not sure if this match will be at 79 or 74, but eventually Dake is going to have to compete with Burroughs here for the Olympic spot at 74 kilograms, which has been a problem for him in the past, getting past Burroughs. But otherwise, Kyle Dake pretty much dominates all of his competition, and which is seen when he moved up to 79 kilograms and was a two-time world champ. So Kyle Dake, we'll see him tonight. He's wrestling at the Spartan Combat RTC 1, their first event. And he'll be taking on three-time All-American David McFadden, who formerly wrestled at Virginia Tech. He's an exciting wrestler. The Wrestling Matters podcast line is set for McFadden to be the plus 475 underdog. So I'm going to start doing this for you guys. This is something that's a little new, but I'm going to give you a little background on it. For UFC fighters in the UFC betting, they usually have a line, an over-under. The underdog is plus, so if you bet on the underdog, you get more. The favorite is minus, so if they're the favorite, you would make less betting on them. We're not setting up any bets at this time. It's a possible thought for the future, but I just want to set a line to give you guys, for my UFC fans that are watching wrestling, to give you an idea of who's expected to win and how things are supposed to shake out. So McFadden is the plus 475 underdog. So Kyle Dake is definitely expected to win this match, no matter how it goes. The only way Dake would be expected to be to be a competitive match is if Dake is not 100%, if he's still nursing an injury of some sort, or if Kyle Dake, he's had some time off. He's had some time off, and this is a young guy who's not scared. McFadden is going to put it on the line, but I don't think he's experienced enough in freestyle yet to truly give Dake trouble. I've seen Dake handle Dieringer, Zahid. He'll handle McFadden. So once again, McFadden is the plus 475 underdog in that match. So Kyle Dake, not a tune-up match because McFadden is no swap, but Kyle Dake looking to get back on track. I would expect a tech fall from Kyle Dake over McFadden. But we'll see. It'll be fun. Also tonight, this is a very exciting matchup. Yianni Diakomihalis versus Anthony Ashnault. I'm very big on both of these guys. A battle of NCAA champs and youth legends in folk-style wrestling growing up here in America. Cadet age level world champ Yianni Diakomihalis is one of the best in the world. But look for Ashnault to take this personal, keep it close and interesting. Ashnault's not going for anything too sweet. He's going to compete. He's an NCAA champ. He's a 4-time All-American. He's a 3-time Big Ten champ. And, he's on the level. He's on the level, and he's going to be looking to put heavy hands on Yianni. And he's athletic. So that's going to be a great match. That's honestly... That's probably my biggest match to look out for this event is Yianni D versus Anthony Ashnault for the fans. From the fans' perspective, that's going to be fun because those guys are both willing to engage in some pretty crazy exchanges, and they're both they're guys that impose their will. Ashnault wrestles the way he wants to, and so does Yianni. So this is interesting for me. I don't know what's going to happen. With all that being said, the Wrestling Matters podcast sets this line as Yianni Diakomihalis as the minus 250 favorite. That's just what it is, Yianni until further notice. From a betting and from an analytical prediction standpoint, we're gonna go with Yianni Diakomihalis as the minus 250 favorite. But someone like me who likes the underdog might put a little dollar there on Ashnault. You never know. Another match on the card is tonight for the Spartan Combat RTC. If you guys don't know and you didn't watch episode 1 or 2 of the Wrestling Matters podcast, the Spartan Combat RTC is the regional training center in New York for Cornell University. So a lot of these athletes wrestle at Cornell or do wrestle at Cornell. Also of note, the Ivy League is not competing in winter sports this year. So Cornell will not be wrestling this year. They're keeping their guys in shape and active and getting them matches through these tough times with COVID-19. So these Cornell guys are going to be wrestling at the Spartan Combat RTC events, these other events on Rockfin and Flow Wrestling, and they're going to be getting ready for the Olympic trials. They're serious over there. Those are some serious guys. Another match on this card is between NCAA Division I champions again, and that's former 2-time NCAA champ, 3-time finalist, Gabe Dean from Cornell. He'll be taking on the NC State Wolfpack RTC's Mike Machiavello. Machiavello has a recent win over Colin Moore at the RTC Cup, and Gabe Dean also won senior nationals at 86 kilograms. This is a close one. This is as close as it's going to get. I'm assuming Dean is coming up a little bit in weight, but he'll still be the minus 150 favorite. This is a very close line. I want to give the edge to Gabe Dean. Machiavello's no joke. I wouldn't show up to any event sleeping on Machiavello. I saw how that worked out for me at the RTC Cup, and I saw how it worked out for me when he won his NCAA title. Machiavello's a very solid wrestler. I would assume this match is at 92 kilograms. I'm not exactly sure. We'll get back and confirm the weight. Once again, Gabe Dean is going to be the minus 150 favorite against Mike Machiavello. They are both very solid guys that are going to bring heavy hands in solid position. From the basis that I teach and like to practice, these are very good guys. Although I said the match of the night will be Yanni versus Ashnault, from an excitement standpoint, I would say Yanni versus Ashnault. But Gabe Dean versus Machiavello, if you know solid wrestling, guys that aren't going to give up much and aren't willing to exchange and stuff that isn't theirs, that this is going to be a close, tight-knitted match. It's going to come down to the wire, in my humble opinion and assumption. I think this will probably be the best match of the night as far as a close score. I think Yanni Ashnault is going to be a great match, but I could see Yanni pulling away a little bit maybe, versus I don't see either guy pulling away here. I don't think Gabe Dean can tech Machiavello. I don't think Machiavello can tech Gabe Dean. Versus in all the other matches, I could see that potentially happening. There's always a leg lace and freestyle possibility, but I mean from a perspective of just even takedowns. I don't see anyone getting too ahead in the takedown count of these two. Yeah, those are very stingy guys. Don't give up takedowns. When they shoot theirs, they make sure they get theirs. But we'll go over those results in our next episode. For those of you that have a chance to watch it, I believe the undercard starts at 5. Those main matches we're talking about right there starts at 7. And that's tonight on Flow Wrestling. Tonight as in the 8th of January. If you haven't, check the episode 5 and you'll get the results for that. All right. Next for today, we'll go into Big Ten Wrestling as it returns tonight on the Big Ten Network. At the blink of an eye, Big Ten Wrestling's back with us, guys. Let's stay involved and check your TV listings to see if you have it. I have the Big Ten Network on Hulu. I'll be checking it out tonight. Find a friend, check out some wrestling. You never know. You might see the future of the UFC there. You might get to see some good wrestling, and it's a fun sport to watch, man. We just have to get more opportunities for people to watch it. And later on this episode, we'll go over some more beautiful opportunities. But for there it is in itself. You guys can get on Flow Wrestling, or you guys can get on the Big Ten Network and watch wrestling tonight. Boom. There you have it. To kick off the season, January 8th at 7 p.m., Junior World Champ and Indiana native, great heavyweight prospect Mason Paris will carry the Michigan Wolverines to compete against Rutgers tonight. Also, a note for Rutgers, they have Big Ten champ Sebastian Rivera transferred from Northwestern, and now he's at Rutgers in his home state of New Jersey. And look for Sebastian Rivera to be to be a factor right away in the Rutgers lineup. And we'll love to see him get a match against Michigan tonight, That'll be fun. I wouldn't expect to see Suriano for Rutgers tonight. I can't completely count it out. I believe that his camp said it was a 50-50 possibility, but come on, man. I don't know. Suriano is one of the most mysterious men in wrestling, and that's just the way it's going to be. He's not going to change that. Heard rumors of MMA, then I heard that was hushed down a little bit. But from what I've heard and seen so far, his main goal is to make this next year's Olympic team. And I've heard he's been training out in Arizona for this. So I don't know how that works as far as the eligibility and his season for Rutgers University. But I do know that he probably has a little bit more leeway with it being an Olympic year. And with COVID, he probably has no classes that are in person. So if you want to go train in Arizona, but you go to Rutgers University, apparently you can do that this year. I don't know. Suriano's the man. He's a former NCAA champion. He's a serious prospect for freestyle wrestling and MMA. And, hopefully we get to see him tonight. Wouldn't expect him to see him tonight for Rutgers. But yeah, guys, that's 7 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. We have Michigan versus Rutgers. Multiple high-level guys. We'll get into those results for you later on. But if you guys get a chance, check that out on the Big Ten Network. Wouldn't expect to see Suriano. Okay. Then at 9 p.m., another junior world champ, heavyweight, and Gable Stevenson will carry his Minnesota Golden Gophers into Lincoln, Nebraska, as they face off against Nebraska, who features multi-time All-American Chad Redd. One of my favorites. Chad Redd always brings it. This is a guy that, for some odd reason in college, gets discounted by the media sometimes, but when it's his time to shine, he always does. So Chad Redd, he's a veteran in this college wrestling now, and I expect Chad Redd, to do his thing, and that goes as well for Nebraska. We'll see Schultz. We'll see. Will we see Kevon Davenport? I believe Davenport will make his debut as a redshirt freshman in the lineup. Yeah, a lot of these lineups I'm not too sure of because of COVID and because of all the guys moving around, but I will have a more sure scope of the college wrestling scene after this weekend, and then I'll have a more detailed review of these results because some of these guys had wrestle-offs, and I don't even know what happened in the wrestle-off this week. So at 9 p.m., once again, that's Minnesota versus Nebraska. 7 p.m., Michigan versus Rutgers. Big Ten Wrestling on the Big Ten Network. Check it out, guys. All right, what else do we have? Okay, the January 9th match between Olympic champ Jordan Burroughs and world champ David Taylor has been postponed for Wednesday, January 13th. For some reason, I am not all too sure that this will actually take place on the 13th for multiple reasons. Okay, David Taylor posted a video saying that due to contact tracing, he was not able to fly to Austin, Texas, and he's not able to compete on the January 9th card against Jordan Burroughs. He also counter-offered in the video that their match would take place Wednesday in Nebraska. So he's saying, hey, Burroughs, you can stay home. I'm gonna pull up on you in a couple days when I get my ducks in a row, and I'll come wrestle you in your backyard. Okay, the top of our head, we're gonna say, yeah, Burroughs is fine with that, yeah, But this is my only concern. We're halfway through January. Burroughs can be wrestling at 86 kilograms too late into January because he has to make 74 soon. Yeah, this is a couple months out the way, but with it being, it has to be on his mind soon. Because when he beat Zahid Valencia, he said he wanted it to happen in December. He meant make it happen ASAP. I would assume the January 9th was the latest he was willing to do it. 4 days, maybe. I just don't know. In the video, David Taylor, he looked sickly. I don't know. I don't know if he has COVID. I don't know. I don't want to spread any rumors or anything like that, but I mean, he didn't look well. I mean, he could have been hot. He could have been working out. He could have been a little, you know what I'm saying? He could have been cutting some weight. I'm not here to speculate on David Taylor, but from a fantasy match from a wrestling fan's perspective, wants to see a fantasy match, I would pump the brakes a bit with it being rescheduled for 4 days. If you can't take a flight to Austin, Texas on the 9th, why can you take a flight to Nebraska on the 13th? I don't really know the details of that, and I don't want to get too far into it, but I will say that David Taylor said that he's not wrestling Burroughs on Saturday the 19th. With all of that being said, the rest of the card will go on, and it will be headlined by world champions Aljimain Gray and Tamira Mensah Stock. It's a very exciting match, and the Wrestling Matters podcast line is set for Mensah Stock to be the plus 155 underdog. Okay, Aljimain Gray is the favorite and has to be the favorite, and that's just the way it is. The only 5-time world champ in wrestling in America history, and that goes for women and men. Look for Aljimain Gray to try to impose her will. She's a little bit bigger than Mensah Stock, but at the same time, Mensah Stock is a very strong woman that I have not seen challenged or taken down in the past couple of years. I just haven't seen her. I haven't seen her struggle. So I'm interested to see what they weigh in at. I'm also interested to see where Mensah Stock closes the gap. You see, I put her at the plus 155 underdog. That's not a big favoritism towards Gray. Gray may be a bigger favorite than that, but I think it'll be a competitive match, and I think this is a very worthy main event, and I mean that. Even with Burroughs and Taylor being postponed, I believe that Aljimain Gray and Tamira Mensah Stock is a very captivating main event with a serious storyline behind it. These are two of USA Wrestling's world champs, and these are our guys going in to the Olympics. So we got to figure some stuff out. That's going to be awesome. Now, with the adjustment to the schedule, the co-main event will be 2-time world champion J'den Cox versus Hayden Zillmer. Okay, although Zillmer is as tough as it gets, look for the Olympic bronze medalist J'den Cox to be the minus 430 favorite here. I like Hayden Zillmer. I believe he picked up a win over Machiavello at the RTC Cup. And he's beaten Colin Moore before. So he's right there in that top 3, top 5 in that pecking order. But J'den Cox, I believe, to be probably the pound-for-pound best wrestler in the world. He is recovering from COVID, though, and I believe this is his first match in a long time for J'den Cox. So this will be fun. Minus 430 favorite. Yeah, that might be a little generous considering his time off and how much of a stud Zillmer is, but I have big faith in J'den Cox. No matter what the score is, I just don't see him being in any danger out there. Okay, other matches on this card. James Green versus Pat Lugo. Battle of the two toughest opponents that your 25K winner, Bajrang Punia, who wrestled at the 150-pound bracket, faced. You know, James Green and Pat Lugo were able to get in on his legs and almost finish. So it's going to be interesting to see now that they have that film and they both went to the drawing board and worked since the 150-pound bracket, 8-man bracket. What will James Green and Pat Lugo bring to the table versus each other? These are also very important implications for 70 kilograms down the line and potentially 65 kilograms for the Olympic trials. I like Pat Lugo. I thought he wrestled very well this last NCAA season for Iowa. I thought he wrestled well in freestyle this year. In the cards, he beat Pletcher. He wrestled well against Bajrang Punia. Tough first-round match. But I would give this one to James Green. I think James Green is the minus 250 favorite. But Pat Lugo is an underdog's dream. He's going to be ready to wrestle. He comes from a great wrestling club. The Hawkeye Wrestling Club's getting him ready, and Lugo jumps levels every time I see him. All right, next match on the card that's relevant that we'll discuss is going to be Nahshon Garrett versus Joey McKenna. All right, this will be a good one as well. Notice that Nashawn Garrett is moving up from 57 kilograms to 65 kilograms. I'm assuming that the weight cut was a bit much for him, and he also wants to see where he stacks up against Joey McKenna, who's a very legit contender at 65 kilograms. Joey McKenna has wins over Yanni, wins over Ironman. Joey McKenna is the truth, and he's a serious stud in America at 65 kilograms. This is a big challenge for Nashawn Garrett after just moving up. I don't want to set the line for this one because I think they're pretty even, and I don't know if Nashawn is very serious about being at 65 kilograms, but we'll have to see where he looks at the weight and how he looks against McKenna. I think McKenna is the favorite, but I looked for this to be this is going to be a close, tough match. All right, guys. Those are the relevant matches of people that we've discussed already due to the prior events that we've discussed in the Wrestling Matters podcast. For those of you super fans of wrestling that know everybody, go check out the rest of those matches there. And there's plenty of matches on the undercard and on the main card. Once again, if you guys have any questions or if you would like to, any matches you want covered or any topics, let me know. And we'll be sure to go over it on the Wrestling Matters podcast. Stay tuned January 9th on Flow Wrestling for Adeline Gray versus Tamir Mensah-Stock. Once again, David Taylor versus Jordan Burroughs has been rescheduled and allegedly will be wrestled out on Wednesday the 13th. Okay, in further news, also of note, UFC 259, let's give back and watch as Aljimain Sterling fights Peter Yan for the bantamweight UFC title. Sterling recently wrestled Penn State's Roman Bravo Young, and he wrestled him well, landing a 4-point throw in freestyle, and then getting the sub and some submission grappling, shining some light on the sport of wrestling for the number one contender from the UFC competing in one of our wrestling events. So that's awesome. Let's give back on March 6th and watch Aljimain Sterling fight for the UFC belt. How about that, guys? Good luck to him. Also on that card, undefeated UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya makes his move to light heavyweight to face against the Polish power Jan Blachowicz, former wrestler from Poland who has very great striking at the light heavyweight division in the UFC. We're going to have Adesanya, the middleweight champ, versus Blachowicz, the light heavyweight champ, on that same card on March 6th where you have Sterling versus Peter Yan. We will also get to see Amanda Nunes defend her featherweight 145-pound belt against Megan Anderson. So, UFC 259 is going to be a great card. We're going to see some great grappling. Maybe Jan Blachowicz tries to take Adesanya down. I don't know. I like his striking. I like Blachowicz striking, and he knocks people out. He creates damage. But, man, who's going to be the guy to take Adesanya down? You're not going to outpoint strike him. You might knock him out, but you're not going to outpoint strike him. So that'll be a fun one, and we have plenty of time to go get back and break those down. In other UFC news, Khabib Nurmagomedov declined a $100 million fight offer to box Floyd Mayweather. His manager, Ali Abdelaziz, told TMZ.com that if Floyd Mayweather wants to get beat up in the octagon, he can, but Khabib isn't a boxer. If he wants to come box in the octagon, we can box in the octagon, but I'm not. It's not about... Khabib isn't a guy. Khabib is a man of honor. He's not going to take a clout fall for $100 million. Won't do it. You're not going to see him sleep on the canvas. You'll never see Khabib sleep on the canvas. That's just that. $100 million is a lot of money. I don't know. I don't know anyone else that would probably decline a $100 million fight offer. Also of note for exposure for the sport, the UFC event on January 16th, Holloway versus Qatar, will be aired on ABC. Wow, that means it's free. That means everyone can watch. ABC is absolute free network, free channel. You can pull it up on your phone. You can get your, what's it called? You can get your antenna signal to your TV and get the free channel ABC. The UFC is making its debut on ABC January 16th, where you'll see former featherweight champ Max Holloway take on rising star Calvin Kattar, who's looking to finally get a title shot. I don't think he jumps Zabit Magomed Sharipov. I don't think he should. But a win over Max Holloway certainly puts you in that discussion. Other UFC news. Recent fight announcement is former Bellator champ and NCAA Division I All-American Michael Chandler faces off against Dan Hooker on January 23rd. Yep, Michael Chandler has been having back and forths with all kinds of UFC fighters, and people are wondering where he stands and where he measures up against the competition in the UFC and who he deserves to fight. And although I think he is a bit gassed, I did my research, and he's a worthy guy. You know, this guy wrestled at Missouri. He's an All-American. You know, some of those losses at NCAA was a 9-8 first-round loss to Gregor Gillespie at NCAA's, and who's also a UFC lightweight, Gregor Gillespie, and a D1 NCAA champ. But, I mean, he lost first round to Gillespie once and then wrestled back and got fifth. So I would not sleep on Michael Chandler. But like he said in his interview, Dan Hooker's a tough matchup for him. And Dan Hooker's a tough matchup for anyone. Well, all right, guys, with no further avail, that's all for today. This is the Wrestling Matters Podcast, Episode 4, and I'm your host, Juwan the Don. Thank you.